Nonspec won $5,000 as our campus-wide difference maker, our first year up with the program. And then they have gone on through competitions and other events to raise another $70,000. And they're going to talk a little bit tonight about their success. We also have Bright Future Generation, which is a team founded by Vanessa Colombo, a peace and conflict studies major. And their job was to help the children orphaned by the Rwandan genocide. And so Vanessa's used her funds to help build that organization up. And then this past year, last spring, Support Our Students is a team that's addressing issues of food scarcity among college students, which is an issue that some of us weren't really aware of, but that this team's done some work and is working not only with students here, but is branching out to work with students at other college campuses. So we're really excited to be in a position to help mentor and help nurture and grow these teams. So this evening, what we'll do is we're going to ask a representative from each of those teams to come up and spend about 5 minutes just updating you on their progress. And then after that, we'll spend a few more minutes. We have some alums who are actually sponsoring and supporting some of these events who are going to talk about the new competitions that are coming up. So I think first up is Jonathan and Erin from Nonspec.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan, this is Erin, and we make up the main team for Nonspec. We have 2 other interns who are on our team and a visiting student who is currently assisting us in our designs. We started as an undergraduate capstone. We spent a lot of time working on this really cool mechanical hand. We loved it, we thought other people were going to love it, and when we handed it to doctors, they didn't care. It turned out that the really cool piece of technology that we were holding on to was a bit of engineering sloppiness. We had designed a limb that attached to the hand that could grow so I wouldn't have to redesign it every time they asked me to fit it to a new patient. It turns out that that technology allows us to fit 45 million amputees worldwide with minimal technology and minimal effort. And it's such an expandable system that we're capable of fitting an 8-year-old and an 18-year-old with exactly the same device. When we started this project, we really didn't know what we were doing. I wish I could say that I had all the answers and I knew what was going on. And in reality, I was an engineering student who had a really cool idea, and it stopped there. And so we pulled on new people from other colleges who were able to give us a lot more information, and we spent a lot of time with the program making it so we would be able to really participate in this sort of global market that we couldn't even possibly begin to understand. And so the first person we actually pulled on was Erin, and Erin's the one who actually made our device mass producible, and I'll let her speak a little bit to that effect, because
so the great part about DifferenceMaker is that it allows teams to come together from all over the UMass Lowell campus and beyond, which is wonderful. So when I came in, I saw a great design that had a lot of potential, but it was a little too complicated to mass produce. So what I did was I came in and I started teaching the mechanical engineers that I started working with how to think about plastics and how to injection mold components. So we've all learned a lot through this process, and what DifferenceMaker taught us beyond all of our engineering skills is how to make this into a viable business. So we had no idea about something called a business model canvas. How many of you have used those? They're very interesting. You have sticky notes and something on a wall, and I had no idea what I was doing. But after a lot of interaction with professors and outside people, we figured out how to map out this business. DifferenceMaker also put us in touch with so many alumni that have connections all over the world that has allowed us to really make this possible. So since our DifferenceMaker competition, we've actually won several international and national competitions and several local ones as well. That has allowed us to keep going and making this a product that we never thought would happen. And that's why DifferenceMaker is a wonderful thing, and I encourage all of you to invest in it. Thank you.
If you have any questions for the team, we do have a little time, and we'll give you a chance to ask each of the teams questions. So are there any questions for Erin and Jonathan?
yes.
Your majors are?
I'm sorry?
Your majors were?
I was an undergraduate mechanical engineer. I became an MSIT major, and then I am now a PhD in biomedical engineering.
And I did the BSMS program in plastics engineering and now in the PhD program for the same field.
Other?
Is this currently being sold? Is this like on track?
So, great question. We actually have 4 international partners who are looking at buying our first devices. They are based in quite a few countries that we have specific interest in. We just actually had a 5th reach out to us and ask if whether or not we could give them a production run of 4,000 units, which is a bit too many for us right now. But hopefully in the future we will be able to meet demand, and they are very interested in that. So as soon as we finish our clinical testing, which we're hoping to be fully underway in January, we will hopefully start selling directly. And it's sold directly to clinics, not so much to patients. And that's a long process that we had to figure out in terms of what's this pathway that we have to choose. And we really didn't know that when we walked in. We had to figure that out.
Is it a nonprofit or a for-profit?
It is a for-profit, which is pretty novel in the field that we're in right now. So the majority of people go the nonprofit route, and so far we've lost 4 major competitors because they couldn't keep the funding that they needed to be viable. Professor Sullivan.
After your leading question, but we talked a little bit about the intellectual property, patents and IP.
So the CVIP office at the school has been very patient with us. We were a particularly difficult case because we were students who were coming in and there wasn't really any precedent. There was traditionally, faculty would come in and faculty had a specific deal with the institution, but they've been working with us to create a way and a pathway for the students to move through the intellectual property process in as cleanly as possible for
Like to put in, the students who are not working under any specific funding, they own their own IP. So we owned all this IP for what we were doing, and we made the decision that it is amazing to work with a school that has everything set up, who can help us through the financial burden in the beginning, and can help us grow even more than we could on our own. So that's the process that we've engaged in, and the school's setting it up so that anyone who comes through DifferenceMaker and wants to make that decision, it's all right there for them.
Yes.
Are you seeking private capital investments, or do you anticipate
We've had
seeking them?
offers, is the short answer. Right now, because we're not trying to beat anyone to market, because this is kind of uncharted territory, we're not seeking any massive funding right now. If at some point in time someone was to jump in and say, hey, we're going to be competing against us, we'd start looking into that to make sure that we can cycle up quickly. But for now, the playing field's actually, unfortunately, very empty. I was shocked that when we did our patent search for something as simple as we did, there was nothing. And there was nothing like maybe some things were related. We looked through something like 25,000 patents, and we found almost nothing in the field of prosthetics that was doing what we were doing. So it's kind of staggering.
Being a student has been incredibly advantageous, as we've been able to compete in several business and design competitions that have let us gain the funding that we need at our low level right now.
Thanks very much.
We're so lucky. Next up, Vanessa Colombo. Vanessa, are you hiding behind? There you go.
Right.
So you'll have to update folks on where you're at. Vanessa started Bright Future Generation, and she was a peace and conflict major. And I think you graduated?
I did, yes. Thank you. Hello, everybody. So my name is Vanessa Colombo, as you know, and I'm co-founder of Bright Future Generation. The mission of Bright Future Generation is to increase the confidence and proficiency for grassroots organizations in identifying and responding to the mental health problems faced by the at-risk children and youth they serve. Currently, we're working in Rwanda, but we also hope to work with other post-conflict societies around the world. And so this project had come about as a result of my master's thesis project. I'm an interdisciplinary scholar. I focus in on psychology, and I was interested in genocide studies. And so as a master's student, I decided to work on Rwanda. I traveled out there in 2012 with a group called Global Youth Connect. And I had volunteered for an organization called IRJ, which is a student survivor association that operates within the nation's universities. And they basically provide a whole family environment for people, children and youth who have lost their families out as a result of the 1994 genocide. And so they had actually asked me specifically, you've been working in the field in the U.S., working with at-risk children and youth there. So you have some skills that we kind of really need help with, especially in terms of trauma. There's a lot of depression, anxiety, even learning disabilities that people don't quite understand, they're not aware of. So Bright Future Generation hopes to work with a lot of those grassroots organizations to provide them with the skills and the training that they need to be able to really fulfill their mission and goals. So since DifferenceMaker in 2013, I received the Significant Social Impact Award. I was able to travel back to Rwanda in September of 2013 to do a lot more research. A project like this is pretty big, especially in terms of the knowledge and the intellect needed to develop the trainings and programs. And so I was definitely able to get a whole lot, a better understanding, to really go back on the ground, to meet with other different organizations, to really understand how they understand mental illness and what their barriers are, and really addressing that. And so currently I'm still working on building up a board of directors right now, so I can register as a nonprofit organization, which would certainly help increase the ability to receive certain support and funding to continue on with the project.
Are there any questions for Vanessa? I have one. Tell us a little bit about what you did when you returned to Rwanda.
Okay. So when I returned from Rwanda, so it took me a little while. I needed to process through a lot of the, the information. I've been still staying in contact with Isaiah, who's my colleague. He's a Rwandan national. He lives in Rwanda, and we're both trying to work on this project together. So one thing I've actually been really trying to do is either to travel back to Rwanda or to have Isaiah come here so that we can really work on this together. I've been really trying to build up more connections with people over here, providing some support, even just basic legal advice in terms of, developing the nonprofit organization, filling out the paperwork, figuring out who I can kind of have on my team to do the board of directors so I can move forward with the application. So I'm certainly, in terms of the organizational standpoint, there's a lot of that paperwork I'm trying to, get through right now, and also building up a lot of, really honing in on a lot of the different programs that we're trying to work on. Isaiah, right now he's run a few trauma workshops around the commemoration period in April out in Rwanda, and he's had some great feedback on that so far. So we're still moving a little bit slowly, but we're getting there.
Any other questions for Vanessa? So next up is Theresa Scholl. Theresa is a graduate student in our community psychology program, and Theresa's the leader of the team Support Our Students, which was the campus-wide DifferenceMaker winner in last April 2014. So Theresa, why don't you come on up and update folks on what SOS has been up to.
Well, since the DifferenceMaker Challenge last April, we've actually already doubled our funding nearly. In about 6 months, we have raised about $6,000 to help our cause. And the reason for our success is because we have the passion and we gain the knowledge through DifferenceMakers to address the problem that we're facing on this campus. And most importantly, it was people like Steve Tello who believed in us, that told us that we could solve food insecurity on this campus. And what I mean by food insecurity is students going hungry. They don't have enough food. Now, my name is Theresa, and I'm a co-founder. I'm only one of 6 team members, And since then, we've gotten volunteers, we've gotten work-study students, and we've gotten some interns that are earning credit for this project. But we built this program, and we're the 2014 campus-wide winners because we were able to develop an innovative method to solve the problem of food insecurity. Now, typically, when you think of somebody going hungry, you think of them going to a food pantry. But we wanted to do more. We wanted to set these students up so they weren't looking for their next meal. They weren't stressed because they hadn't eaten. They have things to focus on, like their studies. And when you're not eating, you can't focus. So what we did is in collaboration with University Dining, we developed a meal bank. And what that meal bank is a way for people who have meals to donate those meals, and then for us to put those meals on student in need ID cards. In other words, when you need help, we put meals on your card. You go to a dining hall like any other student with a plan, you swipe in and you eat all you care to eat. This is a long-term solution so that students 1 week down the road, 2 weeks down the road, 4 weeks down the road don't have to worry about their meal, and there's no stigma with going into that cafeteria because nobody knows. Now, there are two ways that we developed for donations to be accepted. The first is, and Aramark was critical in this partnership, students who have unlimited meal plans can donate one of their guest meals. And then thanks to university advancement, we also take financial donations. We're a nonprofit, so we'll pretty much take anything. And you can purchase a meal scholarship, which is a discounted meal, and that goes into our bank, which then can be transferred to the student. Now, to date, we've given out over 200 meals to students, okay? Above and beyond the money that we've raised, we've administered a survey on campus to assess food insecurity. We've gained 4 corporate sponsors. These corporate sponsors are another way for us to bring in money to support and sustain our cause. We've launched our social media and Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, and we hosted our first awareness event just last week. Now, while in the DifferenceMakers program, we attended several workshops, and one of the messages that really stood out to us was you need to talk to as many people as possible. You can't develop something that's not needed. So we had to go out and we had to find out what was needed and who could help us and how we could build it. This really hit home with us. And it was not just because we needed to build an effective program, but what we also wanted to do was build a support network for our students. So over the course of 4 months with DifferenceMakers, we had, I think, over 75 meetings. Just to get you an idea of what you're in for. And then since then, we've spoken with over 30 departments, organizations, colleges, and student clubs. Hopefully you've all heard of us. We've also spoken with the Chancellor. We've had a very brief conversation with the President of the University of Massachusetts. We've presented to the Lowell Chamber of Commerce. And tomorrow we have a meeting with Congressman McGovern, and next week a phone call with Nikki Songas's office. These are all opportunities, and what these represent to the SOS team and to UMass Lowell is that we're going to solve the problem of hunger on campus, but we're going to go beyond that. We're going to get bigger. We want to expand to the UMass colleges, and we want to expand to colleges across the country. And what UMass Lowell has done for us, what DifferenceMakers has done for us, is they are going to be a leader in solving this problem. They're going to go above and beyond and show how much they care about their students and their students' success. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I need a microphone. I'm going to follow up on some questions I asked earlier.
Sure.
But the one that pops into my mind is I know you have Aramark agreeing to allow students to donate.
Yes.
Has Aramark agreed to match those meals?
We will ask them in the future.
Okay.
It's a great idea, though. Yes. No, I like that.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Theresa?
Yeah. Okay, that's a great question. So the first indication that there was a problem on campus was alluded to by the executive director at the Merrimack Valley Food Bank. She was actually our first meeting, and she knew of students that were going hungry. And then over the 3-month period with DifferenceMakers, we actually just did a foot poll, which was one question that we developed in Google Docs and just went up to students with their phones and said, you know, have you gone hungry in the last 12 months? We had about 161 respondents to that, and 26% of them had said yes to that. It wasn't a formal survey, so last summer what we did is we constructed a survey based on the US ETA 10-item food insecurity survey. Well, they called it food security survey. It was IRB approved, Institutional Review Board approved, and administered that to, what was that, I think 11,500 students, and we had 1,335 students respond, 24% of which reported food insecurity. Long answer, sorry. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so how many students did you help with, and those 200 meals was local time?
So that said September, and it's 13. Not enough, we want to help more.
Do you think they're on track?
I have 2 other meetings scheduled just in the future, and it seems that whenever we go to a club meeting, somebody comes forward. So I think that we need to get the word out there. So just a shameless plug, if you guys know of anybody who might need help, please let them know about us. And it might not be obvious, but if they can't afford to buy books, they might not be able to buy food. Thank you.
Sense of some, I mean, we had 13 teams compete in the finals last year, and we're hoping that we had 70 total teams that submitted applications to the Idea Challenge. So we're hoping next year, or this year, to break 100. Now, what I thought we would do now is we have 3 different competitions that'll be kicking off tonight, and the details on the registration dates and due dates are all on the postcards and on the website. But we have some of the sponsors of those events here. And so tonight, I'm going to ask Glenn Morgan, class of 1986, from the College of Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Science. Glenn came to the Idea Challenge in our first year, and he was impressed with what we were doing, and then he went to talk to his dean, and he said, I'd like to do something in our college. So Glenn worked very closely with the dean and with DifferenceMaker to develop the Creative Venture Competition. Last year was the first year, and this year we're ramping up and kicking it off this evening. So Glenn, come on up and say hello.
Thanks. I'd like to talk very briefly, just touch on 3 different topics today. One, I'll tell you a little story and try to engage the students in a modest story, so that's going to be focused on you. And then I'll talk about a little lesson I learned. Hopefully it'll flow out of the story. And then I'm going to introduce you to the Creative Venture Competition out of the College of Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. So I'm a graduate, as Steve said, of 1986. I started at the University of Lowell in 1981. And so for you engineers and math majors, you'll quickly realize that's 5 years, not the 4-year plan. And the reason it's 5 years is during my first year here, I had an extremely enjoyable social life. For folks with some snow on the roof like me, I think I was in my first paddy wagon ride the first year here after attending a night at Mr. C's. So I had a pretty challenging first year. And my first semester's grade point average was 0.0. And so one, I mean, when you think about it, that's a world record that no one can beat. Right? I tried, and you can't go negative. So it's 0.0. So right, when you look at me, this is a world record holder. No one will ever beat me. So that's just kind of something unique. And so, of course, my goal in telling you this isn't so you'll say, oh, I got to listen to a blockhead that flunked out of the University of Lowell this evening. That was interesting. I'm telling you because when I flunked out of the University of Lowell, it was the worst thing that happened in my life. Prior to that, I was a big fish in a little pond. I was a great hockey player, and I came here and I got mauled. I deserved to flunk out. But what I learned was that, and this is a lesson that applies to business owners, to entrepreneurs. So I own a business now, and you're going to learn in life that you're going to get knocked down, and you're going to get your ass kicked. And it's up to you to get back up off the canvas. And bad stuff happens to everyone, right? And you don't judge yourself by what happens to you. You judge yourself by how you react to what happens to you. And so if you're going to become a business owner, if you're going to become an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn to get up off the canvas. And that's a lesson I want to share with you. And it's a lesson that through the Difference Makers and through the Creative Venture competition, we hope to instill with you. Now, I don't want you to leave here tonight thinking, oh, the poor bastard flunked out, what happened to him? I went to community college in New Jersey, and again, this is like, I would go to like Danceteria and Studio 54 in New York until 5 o'clock at night, and then jackhammer the next morning for 6 hours, and then go to community college. And it was a hard life, and I realized that's probably not the life I want to lead. And so I did pretty well at community college, and I taught myself to study. The University of Lowell was very generous and gave me a second chance and said I could come back on academic probation. And when I came back kind of like with a zeal to succeed and not to fail. And I ended up doing very well. And like many of you here, I worked at Colonial Gas for 16 or 20 hours a week, attended school, and I ended up graduating with honors. And then I graduated, and I ended up working for George Duncan, Dick Main, and rest in peace, Wally Armstrong at First Bank. Now George runs Enterprise Bank. And so I got my first kind of cut at a professional life, thanks to the University of Lowell. I then applied. I ended up going to graduate school. First time I applied to graduate school, I didn't get in, and they were like, you flunked out of a state university, you loser, you're not going to get in here. So I had to interview, and then I kept applying, and eventually they let me in. And so now I own my third business. I've sold the first two. The first one I sold for stock in a private company. Don't ever, ever do that. That's the same as getting knocked on the campus. Big error. Second one I didn't sell for stock in a private company, so I'm intrinsically satisfied for that. And so I have, the University of Lowell gave me a second chance. And it gave me an opportunity. And when I was on the canvas, when you're on the canvas, you need to look up and see if someone's going to give you a helping hand. And the University of Lowell, or UMass Lowell, I should say, excuse me, I'm dating myself. UMass Lowell gave me that second chance. And so last year, with Dean Falcone and Francis Talty, we started the Creative Ventures competition. And the goal of this competition is to help you promote a business plan for a service, a product, community support opportunity, or a nonprofit. And we ask you to apply by the 24th of this month, and the application is very easy. And then you'll submit a business plan. And we ask you to write 5 pages of a business plan, and that is due in November. I don't remember the exact date. And with that business plan, we ask you then to present to us, and we'll review it with you, we'll critique it. And so our goal isn't just that you'll learn something from us, but you'll learn how to approach this challenge. And through the generosity of Jack Ford and other alums, the winner will get $5,000 if you win the competition. Second, third, and fourth place will receive $250. And maybe we'll give you steak knives if you come in after that, like Glenn Geary, Glenn Ross. But the goal is, I hope you will attend. I hope you will participate in the competition, and it's an opportunity for us as alums to try to assist you and to support you and allow you to have an opportunity to someday have your own business. So thank you.
Well, we very much appreciate Glenn's commitment to the university and to the program, so thanks very much, Glenn. We also have a competition in the business school. The Manning School of Business has partnered with Digital Credit Union to develop a banking and financial apps competition. Jim Regan, who is president of Digital Credit Union, is also an alumni of the business school. And so Jim spoke with Dean Carter last year, and they put this event together. And I believe, I was looking for, where's David Araujo is here. David, there you are, very good. David is the Vice President for Information Systems at Digital Credit Union. And David actually did a lot of the work with Holly and Huff from the DifferenceMaker team to pull this event off last year. And so David's here, he's going to introduce the competition to you, and thanks very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm the, I guess I'm the outsider because I'm not the alumni here, but I'll do my best. So, first of all, I want to congratulate the three teams that spoke earlier, and it's very humbling to see the work that they're performing, and for me to get up on stage and talk about, you know, trying to create a new banking application relative to what those three teams are doing. So it's very impressive, and congratulations to those folks. So. Just to tell you a little bit about Digital Credit Union, we're located in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and we have 22 branch locations in Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. But we do business with all 50 states. We do lending in all 50 states, so we're across the United States. And so when we look at innovation, it's really critical to the success of our business. And so about 5 years ago, we started an internal innovation contest using the employee base to try to get creative ideas around the banking industry. It's been a very, very successful 5 years with the internal application developments, and we continue to bring products to market every year out of that competition. But you get to a point of saturation, and that's why we reached out externally and partnered with UMass Lowell to bring the competition here, because we recognize that the students are the future generation of banking. And so that's why we came to UMass Lowell, partnered with DifferenceMakers, which I can't say enough about. It is a fantastic resource for all the students here at UMass Lowell, and I truly encourage to use that resource. It's not something I had when I went to college as an undergrad or a graduate, so I do encourage that you take advantage of that resource for all of you. So the competition is going to run for the fall semester as it did last year. We ran it for the first time last year. It was a great success. Registration is open as of now, and we have, the deadline is October 24th, so there's a website available for everybody to submit their registration, so I encourage you to do that, and then we'll be working with DifferenceMakers throughout the competition to be a resource for you guys as well. So thank you for having us. We appreciate being here.
David, he mentioned that their focus is banking and financial apps, and I think it's important because what we're trying to do is cover all the different bases. And so you hear students have different types of projects, students have different interests, students have different expertise. So we have a mix of competitions to address those. But the other thing we do is we do try to bring teams of students together. So it's not just a group of engineers or just a group of business students, but we try to mix them up because to be successful in the real world, you have to pull together people of different disciplines. So once you get into the events, you'll learn more about that. Both David and Glenn mentioned the deadlines, and I just want to remind everyone that these postcards on the back, they have the time frames for each of the events. And there's a registration deadline of October 24th for all three competitions, so you have to register in advance. And if you just go to uml.edu/differencemaker, one word, there's a link on there that says college competitions. And just click on that and all the information is there and how to apply and everything. So now, deans are very competitive people. I don't know if you all know this, but if one dean is succeeding in another area, the other dean may be looking at that and starting to think about it. So we have a new dean on campus, so I have the pleasure of working with quite regularly Dean Joseph Hartman from the College of Engineering. And when Dean Hartman saw that the business school was hosting an event and fine arts and social science was hosting an event, he said to me, well, Tello, what about engineering? When are we going to host our event? So we spent some time, the staff spent some time talking with him about what type of event might make the most sense. And so Dean Hartman's here this evening, and he's going to introduce the Francis College of Engineering prototyping competition.
That's right, because
we all need another competition. Thank you, Steve. It's my pleasure to stand in front of you tonight and introduce this new competition. And I thought I'd give you just a 2-minute background of where this came from. Part of it is that Steve's office is next door to mine, and we have way too much coffee together. But about a year ago, we were invited to participate in what's called the Epicenter Project, where a number of universities throughout the country that really have already embarked on this mission of bringing innovation and entrepreneurship to students on various campuses get together every once in a while and share ideas on how to bring this information, this knowledge to students on campuses. And as we've already illustrated here, UMass Lowell is a leader in innovation in the education world. We were invited to participate this year, and we have a number of faculty in the College of Engineering, along with Dr. Tello, that have been working on this. And one of the tasks was to get together our group of faculty out, I believe it was in New Mexico. We sent you somewhere funny, right, Dan? And sat down with a number of, again, innovators across the country and would-be innovators across the country in terms of education, and came up with a list of goals of what we think we could accomplish on our own campuses in terms of bringing innovation into the curriculum. So Professor Sullivan came back to campus with this nice list of 3, 4, 5, maybe 7 ideas. But they came back with an explicit warning from these other institutions. You know, that first year you should just try one thing. Just do one thing, make sure it goes well, right? So we've come back, that was about February or March. Since then, we embarked on a joint senior design class where we put engineer students together with business students. The hope that rubbing elbows together, the business students will learn about how we innovate as engineers, and the engineers can learn a bit about the business processes, and actually making products aren't good enough, it's making products that people want to buy is what is important. So that was a wonderful endeavor, and probably a lot of people thought that'd be a good year. But of course not. We moved down to the next list, and the next list. Well, the third part on this list was, we should have a competition. Right, Tello? When are we going to have our competition? But you've already heard there's 2 wonderful competitions going on tonight. What's going to be different about our competition? Well, this I get to, of course, blame some of my colleagues. Professor Sullivan, if you'd stand up just 1 second. And Professor Milstein's back here too. Stand up, please. You can applaud, boo, whichever one. They're the ones that heard this was an opportunity and pushed and said, we really have to do something. But engineers are a little different. Not every engineer is the same, but a lot of engineers get together because they like to build things, right? So the key to our competition is why it's called the prototyping competition, is that we'd like our competitors, our teams, which can come from all over campus, have to build something, okay? Our little tagline, it's not to be insultive, is ideas are great, but we want you to build something. Sort of if you've ever want a good read on this, go read Steve Jobs' biography. We build great products. He must have said it 100 times in his time. So that is the goal of our competition. We're very excited about it. We'll be rolling it out, obviously, and you know all the dates and the deadlines, but I encourage you all to participate. I encourage you all to get your hands dirty, and I encourage you all to show off something real cool when we get to be November. Thank you very much. I probably don't have any answers, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
The student from the Health and Science College, would I need an engineering student to this one?
Anybody, the reason it says the college on there is that we're sponsoring it, but no, everybody can join in. We'd encourage you to be multidisciplinary and help, because that's the same reason we got the engineers and the business students together to rub a little elbows. I think it'd be healthy for all, but absolutely, come on, all takers are welcome. Yeah. Yes?
So for the prototype competition, how big of a prototype do you want? Because I do have an idea, however, it would cover much larger than I would be capable of getting, mainly a trailer. As in a trailer home. I can't purchase a trailer home at this point in time.
You might be able to borrow one. You know, there's no right answer to that. I'd say we would like to see something. And I want to, when we say products, it's broadly defined. Software is, you build software products too, so we're wide-ranging. I'd give it a try. We want you do have to go find a faculty mentor for this. And that's a perfect job. Professor Milstein probably has the right answer for you. Okay, thank you very much.
I get to work with all these wonderful people. It's really an honor. So those are the competitions that we're kicking off. We're just about ready to wrap up this evening. But I did want to make a point. Dean Hartman talked about some of the fellows, the faculty fellows that work with DifferenceMaker. And we actually have faculty fellows from all 6 colleges at the university. And I know that a few of them are here. Would you guys stand up for a minute so I can introduce you and not leave? Tom O'Donnell from the Manning School of Business. Dan Sullivan, College of Engineering. I know Professor Guanling Chen was here earlier, as was Professor Finch. I know she had a board meeting she had to go to. There's also faculty from the other schools as well, but these folks are able to join us this evening. So they do a lot of work. I want to thank them for their contributions. So at this point, I know we have some alums. This has been maybe their first time to campus for a while, and I want to thank you all very much for coming and joining us, learning a little bit about DifferenceMaker. I know some of you have served as judges in the past. Some of you will be serving as judges in the future, I guarantee that. And when these events start to kick off, it is a lot of fun. You'll get to see what ideas and what passion these students have. So I appreciate you all joining us. We'll be around for a little while. The DifferenceMaker fellows will be here. The staff will be here. If you have any questions, please feel free to approach us all. And I just want to thank everyone. Again, I'm honored that you all took the time to come and join us this evening. And we look forward to seeing your ideas over the next few months. So thank you.